Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She always wore a bright red cloak with a hood, which is why everyone called her that. One day, her mother asked her to take a basket of food to her grandmother, who was feeling sick. "Stay on the path and don't talk to strangers," her mother said, as Little Red Riding Hood left. She walked happily through the forest. The sunlight streamed through the tall green trees, and she could hear birds chirping above her. She picked some colorful flowers along the way to give to her grandmother. The forest felt magical and peaceful. As she walked further, a big wolf suddenly appeared on the path. "Hello, little girl," said the wolf with a sly grin. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to my grandmother's house," Little Red Riding Hood replied. "She's sick, and I'm bringing her some food." The wolf's eyes gleamed. "And where does your grandmother live?" he asked. "In a little cottage under the big oak tree at the end of the forest," she said. The wolf smiled and quickly ran off into the forest, leaving Little Red Riding Hood behind. The wolf reached Grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Who is it?" asked Grandmother from inside. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," the wolf said, trying to sound like the little girl. "Come in, dear," said Grandmother. The wolf burst inside and swallowed Grandmother whole. Then he put on her nightcap and glasses, climbed into her bed, and pulled the quilt up to his chin. He waited for Little Red Riding Hood to arrive. The girl reached the cottage and knocked on the door. "Who is it?" asked the wolf, pretending to be Grandmother. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," she said. "Come in, my dear," the wolf said. Little Red Riding Hood entered the cottage. It looked darker than usual, but she walked up to the bed and saw her grandmother. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have," she said. "All the better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big ears you have," she said. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big teeth you have," she said. "All the better to eat you with," growled the wolf. He jumped out of bed and lunged at Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf was about to grab her. A woodsman passing by heard the commotion. He ran inside with his axe and scared the wolf away. The woodsman quickly cut open the wolf's belly, and Grandmother climbed out, safe and sound. "Thank you for saving us," said Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. Later, they sat together at the table and shared the food from the basket. Little Red Riding Hood promised never to talk to strangers again. Grandmother hugged her tightly, feeling grateful that they were both safe. And they all lived happily ever after.